Did you say he does a bucket business?
He has a bucket hat business.
Oh, I thought because bucket, sick bucket, I was thinking straight away.
Welcome to Love or Lie Island. We are back with the fabulous Judy James, where we take a look at this week's Islanders and see if they're telling us one thing, but their body language might be saying something else. So we're 2 days in. Judy, what are your thoughts on the Islanders so far? It's been a slow start, I think, but finally kind of getting some bit of action now.
We're usually unwrapping the word roller coaster at this point, but maybe not. And actually, I'm not going to make myself redundant, but there's not a lot of lying going on in there because, I mean, the lip fillers are being tested to the max in there because the girls are all sneering about the guys that they've got. They're barely even pretending to love them or like them. So I'm not having to look on any of the usual devious levels at the moment. Normally by now they're all pretending to be passionately in love. But no, sneering, eye rolling, finger aggression going on in there. So I I'm enjoying it probably
Yeah.
more than ever though. It's and I have to say, what a brutal Love Island producers going on there as well. Two of the meanest things I think I've seen. You know, getting rid of somebody early, and then who do you fancy the least? I mean, most of us would have been whizzing off set at that point. You know, you wouldn't want to know. So that was quite brutal, but good.
I, it really that really is, like you said, two of the cruelest twists I think we've ever had in Love Island, and yeah, we're 2 days in, so and it only gets more dramatic, doesn't it, as it goes on. So, but yeah, shall we take a look at the first clip? Um, just all about Queen Faye. But let's take a look at her first kind of interaction with Chloe.
I feel like they're all gonna go.
I think like we're going to go.
Surely you would, just out of curiosity. Out of curiosity, would you not want to go anyway?
What was the date like, guys? Anyone? No? It was really fun. Got to get to know each other a little bit. I feel like I know everyone's name now. How did you all find the coupling up? Did you all get who you wanted?
So obviously last night we finally had a bit of drama, but I think which we will definitely get into. But before we get into that, I think just Chloe's arrival, there was definitely the foundations of some tension being laid out between Chloe and Faye right away. What did you think of that kind of first interaction? What did you pick up on?
Yeah, I mean, Adam, as usual, this wasn't about stealing our men. This was all about
Mm,
power and leadership signals. And
mm.
don't you just love Faye? I mean, she
I
is
love
already one of my favourite characters.
that.
She says it as it is. And very much the queen bee, the alpha
Mm,
female in the group. You could see that even in that clip where she's sitting. She actually positioned herself when the boys left to go and meet
mm,
the fabulous new girl that was
mm,
coming in, Chloe. She stretched out, and it was like, you know, people save a parking space. She
yeah.
stretched out on the sofa between two groups of two girls, so to reserve the Queen's space. And then when she sat up, they were all sitting on the other side,
Mm,
listening to her, hanging on her every word. And of course, then we had Chloe, you know, Queen of Preen, who'd been,
mm,
as the girls guessed, flicking her hair all over the place, came walking back in at the head of the boys, which was really territorial behaviour. As I say,
mm,
none of those girls really liked their guys that much. I think most of them would have given them away gift wrapped, but it
mm,
was just no, you know, I touched him first, so this is
mm,
sort of territorial status fighting. And I just loved the way that Faye sat there. She didn't get stuck in straight away with Chloe, but we got several. We got the finger on the lip signal, which is a kind of negative evaluation. You could read her
mm.
mind. I mean, she was
Yeah.
watching every hair flick and preen. Then we got the finger up the side of the face, which is negative evaluation. And then she started with the hand, and she mimicked Chloe speaking. Now that's a real put down. When I think Chloe mimed something, and she went, "Oh, I thought you were talking about moustache," and that act of mimicry is kind of the first little attack. The other thing
Mm,
that was interesting, and it was also interesting because she wasn't the only one doing it, but she started to do a metronomic gesture with her foot, and that's kind of, yeah, I'm just biding my time. And Kaz was doing it as well. And I think Kaz is tougher. I think Kaz is more of a leadership potential than we're thinking. I think she's tougher than she looks, but she was certainly second in command as far as Faye was concerned for warding off the Queen of Preen.
That's interesting between Kaz and Faye as well. Do you think in that kind of dynamic, is there room for two alpha females?
I think for the kind of style that Kaz is presenting, I think there
Yeah.
is. Kaz doesn't present like an alpha female generally.
Yeah.
We've seen glimpses, but she didn't generally. And I think part of the reason for that is that she went in with Liberty, and they both turned into these. They kind of twinned, didn't they?
Yeah.
And we got this screeching that was causing ear bleed for me. I mean, it was all this. Oh, we're so sweet, we're so cute. You know, oh, I can't open a bottle and everything. So she's kind of a bit of a Trojan horse in a way. I think she's quite happy to keep. She won't be a competitive alpha female, but I think we'll see more of it emerging. The ones that will really get stuck in will be the likes of Faye and Chloe, who would be competitive alpha females.
I thought Chloe as well really kind of came in and laid her mark as well, didn't she? Kind of the way she led the boys in through the villa.
Yeah, but it's like she'd gone out there and rounded them up and brought them. And not only that, I mean, their tongues were nearly on the floor, weren't they? I mean,
in a way, they hadn't been yet, really, had they?
I know. It was so sad watching some of their faces when she was giving it the hair flick and talking. I mean, Toby in particular, at one point, his eye contact on her, his eyes were almost crossing with lust. And he did a big lick lip as though he was literally drooling. And all we'd seen before with the other girls was a kind of indifference signal. So, but I did love the way that Chloe backed down. She sniffed danger with Faye because she stopped doing the big hair flick and she started raking her fingers through her hair, which is a much less confident gesture.
I mean, it's quite interesting. I thought at Faye, like you say, it wasn't even subtle, was it? It was like I think it's just very clear for everyone to pick up on right away, and yeah, Chloe obviously did.
Faye is great. I think she spells danger for all of them. I mean, immediately from the word go, when she spoke her mind, when she wasn't squeaky and silly or anything like that. I think they all realise that it's probably better to be her friend than her enemy. But the slightly sadder thing I would say about Faye, and I might be wrong, a lot of her behaviour actually looks quite defensive in a way. I would think that she's probably had a checkered love life in terms of maybe having a few heartbreaks. And I think that might have put that veneer of toughness up there. And that is going to be slightly sad. I think there might be a point at which we stop seeing this sort of warrior woman and start to see somebody who maybe her ego is getting a few dents and she maybe has brought a bit of older baggage in with her in how she looks at relationships.
Well, funny enough, getting to that, I think we really see that in the next clip. But like I said, there was a lot of drama last night, and what we just saw was very much just the beginning. So yeah, if we take a look at how that all unravelled last night.
Bed I'm in. I'll be sleeping.
You sleep on the fucking edge of the bed anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, fucking right I do. I'm fucking away from you. Don't like you.
I mean, there, I think there's the definition of having your back up. Like Chloe was, it was so straight, wasn't it? And yeah, I think just going off you said then, again, understandably, to be fair to her, just so very defensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this was horrible, really. I mean, again, you've got the alpha female who, in a way, was ritually humiliated. She was expecting it, and that's why I wonder whether she's been a bit bruised in the past in her love life, because when he turned to her as being the one you would least like to kiss, the least attractive, she was up for the kiss straight. She knew it was coming, that he would pick her as the one that he least wanted to kiss. So she was quite resigned. She wasn't surprised by that. But then the way that she then told him off, as you say, dressed for business, actually, not for Love Island.
Yeah.
She looked
like boardroom, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and it's the right hand, isn't it? That's where we could see her getting into a state of. It went from mildly reasonably annoyed to aggressive arousal. And that when the hand started to come out, that's when we could hear that it converted from almost like I couldn't care less comments to actual insults and swearing as well. And he didn't have much to say, I don't think. He does overtalk a little bit, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. His stance, on the other hand, it was like almost watching two completely different conversations happening. I thought she had her like this, and he couldn't have been kind of more slouched and almost kind of just completely non-fussed by the whole thing. What did you kind of make of Brad's stance in that?
I think Brad is one of, in a way, he's always the most. He's not him, but there's a lot of guys that go in there that are very dangerous to the girls because they have these very sweet looking faces. You know, they look as though they're quite innocent, good looking, and obviously great bodies. But I think the girls underestimate them and think that, oh, you know, I can just pick him as my own tame pet, you know, and he will be my partner for the rest of the series. And in actual fact, he wasn't like that. Brad has got almost, in a way, he's got right behind him in a strange way, not in the way he executed it, but why on earth would you walk into somewhere, get paired off with somebody straight away, and then feel that you've got to be loyal and stick with them for weeks and weeks and weeks? So I think he was trying to be quite grown up, and the other boys were being like that as well. You know, Toby as well had kind of verbalised that quite well. But to actually take it that far when you make a big show of it and the other guys are all standing there laughing at the background, you know, they were laughing at Faye, to not realise that that would be deeply hurtful. And thinking, I think, that he could charm his way out of it, but clearly charm ain't going to work with Faye. She's too sharp for that.
No, I mean, you're right as well with the laughing. Like, it kind of, if you took that scenario out of the Love Island villa, you could have plunked it straight in a playground, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, you know, it's one of the things that I love about Love Island. The kind of partnering up and the romances are almost irrelevant psychologically, because what we're seeing at the same time, you're absolutely right, it's the politics of the playground, it's childlike behaviours, and with all things that are actually quite familiar, I think, for most people in their memories of, you know, possibly that feeling of being the leader in the playground or being the one that got rejected by the rest of the group. Most of their impulses at the moment, they know they've got to pair off and create a good pair to win, but their impulses at the moment are to try and form their own groups and their own allegiances, often within their own sex groups. You know, so the rest of it is almost a side order at the moment, and they're going to need all the other people there when they start falling out with the people that. I mean, there's at least two couples in there that are nail biting. Is it going to last? I don't think so.
And I think more, like you say more than ever, the boys are much more interested with the boys, and the girls are much more interested with the girls. I think in a way that we've never quite seen on this level on Love Island before. Not at the beginning.
I think in a way it might be the people that they've picked. The girls were featured as looking a little bit more aggressive and tougher, and the guys, there isn't really a big tough alpha male in there at all. They haven't really got a pack leader. I mean, the fact that Toby is what they've got as pack leader at the moment, and he only got that role because he was the one that organised them all and stood up when they were laying on the beds. We'll do this, we'll do that, and he then kind of earned his spurs by saying, "I'll go in and tell the girls while we're all going on a date with Chloe." And I think, you know, they thought, "Oh well, you know, he'll be our leader at the moment," but you know, I think they're wide open for some new alpha males to arrive, and up until then, they are behaving like schoolboys. It's fun to watch. It must be slightly devastating for the girls though, because I think a lot of the girls really were looking for somebody a bit tougher in the way of the male that they paired off with.
As I say, Toby has become that alpha male, but actually they're all kind of looking up to him, but it's a dating show, and he's actually the only one who's openly said, "I've never been in a relationship," yet he's still taken that position, which is quite interesting.
A bit incongruent, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you do remember where you are, guys.
I think with him, he's one of those guys that you probably have to get the dictionary definition of a relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I think while there's no love lost between Faye and Brad, maybe I do actually have hopes for one couple, which we're going to take a look at now.
First date.
Choose the first date.
Yeah. You know, eye contact. You have to choose an eye contact. Just like,
Good sex.
yeah, of course, we did. So, yeah.
Toby kissed me. I thought he picked someone else, but then at the same time I was like, you better not.
So this was a bit of a lukewarm start for everyone in Love Island this time, but I feel the past couple of days there does seem to be a bit of a genuine connection with Toby and Kaz.
Yeah,
So let's the kiss. Does that go first?
it's worrying me, Adam, slightly. I have to say, as usual. I like the dynamic, and as you say, amazingly, they were only put together by default, weren't they? I already when they went away from that first pairing off and they went and sat on the roof, they were the only couple that were using any form of flirt signals. She was standing over him, he was using a lot of admiring eye contact, and he's very into his eye contact. Obviously, he keeps mentioning it.
Yeah.
And by the time they got to that date, it was nice to watch. The reason I like watching them together is that they were um, being genuinely interested in one another's personalities and learning more about one another. When he said about eye contact, that's always the most revealing
Yeah.
gesture that you can use when you look somebody straight in the eye. And that's quite rare on Love Island for them want to use eye contact, because a lot of the time they're hiding, masking, pretending to like one another. So he was kind of calling her out in terms of, I want to see what your real feelings are. And I know we're behind the camera, but when you looked at his eye contact with her, it did look quite genuine. So that all looked good. The only thing that is worrying me, I think that she's possibly risking the relationship. I love Kaz. I think she's one of the most likable characters in there. I want to see her increasing in confidence, because pairing off with Toby and then building a little bit of a relationship is showing a different Kaz. She was sitting there in the hut and pit bearing, that's a sign of real confidence to do that gesture. But I think she got a little bit overconfident with him. I think when she heard him say on the day, "Oh, I've never had a relationship before," she hacked in, didn't she? What would you say if I said, "You mustn't," and the finger came out? And a lot of people get very confused by the subtleties of certain words that you use, certain terms. And I think if Toby hasn't had a relationship, he won't get the double speak of dating and saying the wrong thing and implying all those nuances have probably passed him by. And I think she went in a bit heavy on that one. And although it might have been seen as banter and they did get on well, I just wonder whether that won't have made him a little bit nervous. There's confidence, and there's that almost straight to overconfidence where you're picking on the other person a little bit too much. So yeah, I really think they're the couple that I enjoy watching the most.
Yeah.
But I have got in the back of my mind that that's going to go into friend zone quite quickly if she's not careful. And I do not want to see Kaz getting her heart broken on this one.
No, I don't either. And I think you're right with the I think going kind of big on him not having a relationship, that's obviously a bit of an insecurity for him. It's not something he wears as a badge of honor, and it's, he's gone in there being quite open about it. So I think, the more she kind of touches on that, kind of like, why haven't you been in a relationship, or like, that could start to cause a lot of friction between them, I think.
Yeah, it's the swap of power between those two happened so quickly, and I just don't think it's going to suit either of them ultimately. I know, we've got a lot to forgive Toby for, because he was literally straight after Chloe. I mean, he was instigating that one, but as he said, it was early days, and he didn't rub Kaz's nose in it like happened to Faye. So I don't think he's one of the bad guys. He seems like two more episodes he'll be doing something awful. But at the moment, I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt, and
me too.
I think she's grabbing him a bit too quickly and trying to change him, and that's probably not a good idea. I think he has got his own alpha tendencies, and I think he needs to be allowed. It should be mutual respect rather than oh, you've never had a relationship, therefore I'm gonna sort of play around with you, and poke fun at you. I don't think that's a particularly good idea.
And also, if he hasn't had a relationship, then all those kind of mannerisms that he's doing and kind of his body language, it's all quite new to him as well, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he's dated girls, but if it's not progressed into a
Yeah.
long-term relationship, uh, unfortunately, what that will also mean will be he's probably only seeing girls that are looking at a really good-looking guy, a footballer, whatever, and he's probably seeing the more superficial, admiring side, and it might take him quite a bit to learn more about longer term dealing with other people, dealing with different moods, etc. So she doesn't want to go too full on with that, I don't think.
I do really like them both though, so I kind of do. I would really like to see them maybe going the distance for the final. Even I really enjoy those two.
Yeah, me too. We can hear the relationship breaking down.
Oh no. And for the last, finally, we're going to take a look at man of the moment, who everyone's talking about today, is Chugs.
Meet Chugs.
I'm Chugs, I'm 23 and I run a bucket hat business in Surrey. The person I care most about is me. I'd have absolutely no problem going after a girl if they're in a couple. My main objective is to find a girl, not to make friends. I've got a load of friends at home. I'm not afraid to tread on anyone's toes and I'm ready to go.
Everybody's welcome in my house.
Right, so there's been a lot of talk about his name and his bucket hat business, which is Bobby's Buckets, in case anyone wants a bucket hat. But from his intro video, what are you kind of making of Chugs? I have to say, one thing that really bothered me was the fingers.
Do you know how appalling and annoying that? Oh my God! I mean, I think he probably thinks that every woman in the land is actually crawling through their TV screen to get to him at that point. I hope he's being panto annoying, because if he's really like that and he's not doing it to wind everybody up, I can't feel sorry for him, but I would almost. He's very happy. He's touching his own body.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need anybody else, does he? I mean, at the moment, he's obviously clearly enjoying the chugsness of being. Did you say he does a bucket business?
He has a bucket hat business.
Oh, I thought, because bucket, sick bucket, I was thinking straight away, which might be a little bit. I'm being very mean, but I think he's probably, hopefully, knowingly presenting himself like that. I don't think he's what they need in there right now. I mean, they've already got Jake, who adores himself. I know everybody thinks Jake is really sweet and he's got a sweet side to him, but he loves the cameras and showboating. Jake's the one that said, I'll do anything for a challenge, which is always a bit worrying. But so Jake and Suggs together might be a little bit too much in one country, let alone in one building.
Are we getting any alpha male vibes?
I don't think for him. I think he'll probably be too busy showing off and admiring himself. Who's the other guy? What's his name? The other one that's gone in with
Liam.
Liam. See, Liam's got a beard, and there's something about muscles and a beard coming in at this stage where they desperately need an alpha male, and he didn't seem to. Oh my goodness, I'm going to stick my life on. He didn't seem too vain or narcissistic in a way. He seemed a bit more grown up, and he might be more what it needs in there, and more what the girls need in there. I think if they're going to go for one guy to rescue them from the current lot, I think it might be him, and he might have alpha male potential. But it's very difficult because he could get in there and just vanish into the background, or be Hugo's best friend or something like that. But just looking at them on those clips, and I was desperately looking for an alpha male presence that would change the dynamic in there a little bit more, and maybe somebody that Faye would genuinely like, and who might be a bit more of a good challenge for. I mean, Faye looked so bored with Brad. It was eye-wateringly funny. She got this guy who was very good looking, and then he started talking, and you could just see her like a collapsed Lilo. My goodness, I can't listen to this much longer. So I don't think Chugs is going to be the guy with his sick buckets, but I think maybe the other one might be the alpha presence we're all looking for.
I feel like I care more about finding Faye and Man than I do myself at this point, but I'm absolutely desperate for Faye to stay in there.
We could get a donation bin for her where people can put guys in for her. This one's for you, Faye.
I'm sure they'll be lining up anyway when she comes out. Anyway, that's it for us this week. Thank you so much to Judy, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm sure it'll be a completely different ball game when we're back next Thursday, as it always is. But we'll be back next week for another episode of Love or Lie Island.